go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. This is my first time as a chairperson of the commission, so I hope I do a good job. So I'm going to start with the call to order and the roll calling. So Jessica, will you help us with that?
Chair Martinez.
Here.
Commissioner Jackson.
Here.
Commissioner DeCani. Commissioner Haran.
Here.
Commissioner Hushin. Commissioner Hushin.
Sorry, here.
Commissioner Lanzis. Commissioner Manser. Commissioner Seeley.
Here.
Student Commissioner Martinez.
Here.
Student Commissioner Densmon.
Here.
Student Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Okay, well, thank you, Jessica. So the next item in the agenda will be the approval of the meeting agenda. So I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments on the agenda.
Although there's one additional item, the item 5A Liaison Transition Plan that was added since the packet was published and sent to the commission.
The 5A. Okay, perfect. Okay, I don't have any questions, so I don't know if anybody has anything.
I'll move the agenda as presented.
Okay, so should we?
Then call for a second.
Should we second anybody second?
I'll second it.
Okay, if everybody in favor, say hey.
Aye.
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 So I'll do a roll call for this
Oh.
action. Chair Martinez.
Here. Yeah, hi.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Hushin.
Aye.
Commissioner Seeley.
Aye.
Okay, so you're not calling the students this time? No, they don't.
Just for the roll call.
Yeah, they're not voting members.
Okay, perfect. So now the next item will be the approval of the meeting minutes of the last meeting we have in August 13. So if anybody has comments on the minutes, please do so. So if nobody has any comments, should we motion to move the minutes forward? Anybody second? Anyone?
I'll second.
Perfect. So if everybody's in favor, say hi.
We'll do a roll call for that.
Yeah.
Chair Martinez.
Hi.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Hushin.
Aye.
Commissioner Seeley.
Aye.
Thank you, Jessica. So our next item will be the special recognition and presentation. So do you want to tell us about the Liaison transition plan? Jessica, please.
Yep, and I'm gonna just mention Bayardo Lanzis. Commissioner Lanzis just entered the meeting, so she's welcome, Commissioner Lanzis. And then the liaison transition plan. So MJ Lehman is on the line. She is the community engagement coordinator for the city of Edina, and this is going to be the meeting where we transition. So MJ is going to, with meeting, we're going to overlap, and then for future meetings, MJ will be the liaison as we welcome a new sustainability coordinator and get that person trained in on being the EE liaison. MJ, do you want to talk more about that?
Well, I think you pretty much got it, but the hope is that I will be able to stick around as the coordinator joins us. So hopefully by the next meeting, the coordinator will be here. Also be able to deal with all the logistics and the technical expertise in the background. And then I'll stick around with the sustainability coordinator for a couple of meetings so that we can get a little bit more of a seamless transition for you guys and not lose any of that momentum that you have. That's kind of the hope.
Okay, perfect. So that means that you have already a sustainability coordinator.
We don't have the person actually onboarded yet. Hopefully by the beginning of October, we'll know who that individual is and then be able to announce it, and then they could join us for that first October meeting. But they won't have enough time under their belt to probably do anything. So I'll help you with agenda preparation and packet preparation, just since it's something that I oversee anyways, and have been doing it for all these past years. So hopefully it will be seamless for you guys.
Okay.
MJ is the rock star and the go-to person for a lot of things, so you will be in good hands. Related to the sustainability coordinator position, an offer was extended or made, I should say. So I think that's still being negotiated. I haven't heard if that's been accepted or not yet. So we're on a path to have someone start in early October.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's hope so. And welcome, JM. Okay.
Thanks, MJ. We're excited to have you.
Yes, we're gonna
We've
meet.
got the All-Stars. We've got Jessica and MJ and Ross all in one meeting. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, Jessica, thank you for your help in this past months.
Sure.
We'll miss you.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure to be a part of it.
Okay, well, thank you. Okay, so our next item will be, as you are aware, we have two new students. It's Alexa Densmon and Peter Mans. And well, I would like to, well, I have already introduced them to you, but I would like for them to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them and why are they interested, why was their interest in the energy and environmental agenda. So Alexa, I don't know if you want to start.
Sure. My name is Alexa Densmore. I am a senior at Edina High School, and I am interested in saving the environment, and the best way to go through it is to go through the small steps, such as starting at the city level and getting involved in any way I can possible. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for welcoming me.
Hey.
And I'm Peter. I'm a junior at Edina High School, and I heard about these commissions, and I was interested in joining one. And I picked the EEC because I love to spend a lot of time outdoors and would like to have a part in helping maintain it.
Peter, thank you for being here. Okay, so our next item will be the sustainability infrastructure embodied carbon presentation, which, do you want to talk a little bit more about it, Jessica?
Yeah, I want to welcome Ross Bittner. He's the engineering services manager, and he can talk a little bit about the mentoring and the U of M student capstone program, and then the project that student group recently presented. So it's part of the packet is the report that they submitted, and Ross is here to share a little bit of the outcomes of that work.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Jessica. So my name is Ross Bittner. I'm the Engineering Services Manager for the city. As part of that role, I've been involved with the University of Minnesota Civil Engineering and Environmental Engineering capstone classes for a series of the last 5 or 6 years. And that's where we give this university teams a current challenge that we're having in infrastructure. We had one design a sanitary sewer main to try to serve new development in Southdale. We had another one work on flooding issues in Weber Park. And we essentially just give them the problem and let the young civil engineers practice their craft and essentially serve as a consulting firm. So in front of you is one of the reports from our most recent one, and that's from the team calling themselves Sustainable Integrations, and they looked at net embodied carbon. And net embodied carbon is an interesting concept in engineering, and I think this figure that they provide, figure 2.1 on page 2, really kind of describes it well. when the city is purchasing infrastructure, we generally are involved in making plans for the installation, and then we maintain it over long periods of time. And then when it gets really old, we may dispose of it to put in something new. So if you look at the life cycle of construction materials on this figure 2.1, we're involved in the last 3 steps. But there's a lot that goes into the materials that we use in our, in our city that also affect the carbon. So if we are really we're the best at operating our systems to be as efficient in the part where we have direct control, we may only control a tiny fraction of the total carbon that's associated with our infrastructure. So they put together this life cycle, and they tried to figure out what the total embodied carbon was of the entire life cycle of our infrastructure, all the way from extraction of the natural resources, the interim manufacture products and fabrication, the transportation of all those things to our work sites, the installation, and then so if you go to page number 4, Jessica, they took all of our data from 2000.
Can everybody mute, please, except for Ross?
They took all of our data from our full street reconstruction program for 2018, and they wanted to figure out what to focus on. So they segregated all the items out into major components, and they chose to focus on the second, third, fourth, and fifth highest dollar amounts because they were heavy components to our infrastructure. The landscaping category and the earth moving category really was kind of a miscellaneous grab bag. So pipe, concrete, aggregate, and bituminous are what we spent the most on in 2018. And we'll take a look at a couple of the examples to give you a sense for the analysis that they did, and then we'll look at the overall conclusions that they come to. So if you go on to page number 9, we can take a look at concrete. The students struggled to find modern sources that really went into the detail of some of those early parts of our carbon. And they tried to, in this figure 1, they tried to show relative total pounds of carbon per pound of material for all the different components of concrete, for example. And this, while the sources really ranged in difference in the total amount of carbon, either on a per pound of material basis or on a dollar spent basis, it was clear that there's a component of concrete that is by and far the most carbon intensive piece of it, and that's the Portland cement. Portland cement is created in a very energy intensive process with a lot of natural gas and kilns, and they're essentially baking this to drive a chemical reaction so that when it is mixed in water and aggregate, it really sets up and forms a chemical bond that ties all those rocks together. And they discovered something funny on the way to trying to figure out what sort of substitutions or what the sort of choices we could make about this. Right now, one of the substitutions that actually reduces the carbon intensity of concrete is coal fly ash. And fly ash from coal power plants can substitute for that cement. And you can see the difference from just on a per pound of material basis, the fly ash on this category, where it's a lot less carbon intensive. But on the other hand, we're changing our energy systems, and we don't want a bunch of coal power plants. So we actually see a potential where some of the materials that is substituting and causing this to be less carbon intensive can start going away. So that was an interesting finding of theirs. If you look now to slide number 11, this is the example for pavement, asphalt pavement. And here they found something very similar. And while the published coefficients for total amounts, were highly varied, they saw that the asphalt binder that comes out of large refineries during like a gas and oil refining process. Actually makes up the biggest piece of the carbon in our roads. But they also found a lot of trade-offs with these where they're a lot easier to recycle than concrete, and they have a lot less intensive like a per mile or per footage basis. So if we take a look at now to slide 14, we'll skip over the details for the other two components, aggregates and pipes. But here's the total amounts of materials we used and the carbon emissions for our entire program in 2018. These totals really show that the streets, the curbs, the structures that are made out of concrete, and all the surface treatments, asphalt, really make up the bulk of our total emissions when it comes to the net embodied carbon of our infrastructure. And if you go now to the next slide, page 15, they also suggest that there's a lot more to this in terms of next steps, in terms of how the city can maybe start to play a small role in the market to, demand better materials, materials that have a better accounting of their total net embodied carbon, and try to engage the manufacturers to start helping us understand and make some of those trade-offs. So this is a fun project, and it was a great project to just start getting a first look at some of the footprint behind our city infrastructure. But there was, we came out of the study with more questions than we did have answers, because as you really start to look for the numbers behind these and find sources of such highly varied, pounds, there just isn't a lot of original research that ties it together from the start to the end of the life cycle. So we wanted to use some of the thought work and the thought leadership that they put in to extend this with maybe another capstone in the future. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'd be happy to take any questions or answer your curiosities.
Yeah. I have a question. Ross, go back to the thing about the oh, I can't even think what it's called, bituminous.
All right, that was slide
bituminous, the tar and the asphalt. Say again what you learned about the asphalt, that it comes from refinery of oil for making gasoline, basically. So like the place down in Invergrove Heights.
Yep. Yeah. So the
binder contributes to the embedded carbon, even though the amount of it that goes into the asphalt is very small. So that's the tar that holds it together.
That's right. Yeah, the bulk of the material in a paved road is sand and gravel and a variety of different rocks, but they coat them all in the binder material, and that binder material is the super sticky, when hot material that essentially freezes and holds the structure of all those stones together. So while it makes up just a tiny component of the actual bulk of the material, it's the vast majority of the net embodied carbon of the material.
And then you said that can be recycled when you redo streets. I know they do that on the interstate. Don't they recycle the material and put it back into the road?
Yeah, and that was a discussion that the team had, where a full recycled material is making it into a new road, but maybe you're sometimes we're downcycling it, turning it more into an aggregate base. So the search is always for materials that you can, keep the same value or even upcycle them, so that you're not losing the bulk of the material. But a reuse or a single reuse cycle is good. But if you can have, multiple reuse cycles, then the total life cycle of those really goes up.
Interesting. Thank you.
I see.
Oh, Ross, so are you saying that the recycled asphalt is only a single use or reuse then?
Maybe the best way to say it is that we don't have good data on how many times we can recycle it or how many times we reuse it or how much of it is recycled. So it's more of a note for us to say, while we were able to calculate this single life cycle, we weren't able to make assumptions about the overall future life cycles in the long term because we really don't know how well we do in that recycling or how many cycles we get.
Do you know what they are recycling it into? Like you said, is it the same or is it a down cycle?
I think it's a down cycle to an aggregate base.
Okay, can you define aggregate base for me?
Underneath the pavement layers are a layer of rocks that serve to stabilize the soils and to provide support to the upper layers of the pavement.
Thanks.
Hey, Ross, very interesting. This is Paul, not Liz. Really neat report. So was this all done internally by your city engineers?
So if you want to go to the signature page, Jessica, I think it's page 1 or 2. This was done by 4 college students from the University of Minnesota. And Selena, Jamie, Tasha, and James, they last year they were all students at the University of Minnesota, and they were in the civil engineering capstone program.
Okay.
We essentially proposed our project to that capstone team, and these 4 students chose it, and it was great to work with them. But they essentially served as consultants, and then
Right.
as the city, we provided them the data and a little bit of mentorship to help them out along the project.
Yeah.
But they did all the work.
Yeah. Very neat. Very neat. So in the event we wanted to do another life cycle analysis for maybe services or some other purchase that the city makes, we could theoretically do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. I have one question. You said that they, like in your conclusion, you mentioned that there could be other options. So is there a way that maybe in a near future we can ask again the University of Minnesota to help us out in evaluating other options, like to make a comparison or?
Right. We asked them a really big question in this project, and as we started to get into all of the data that was out there and the uncertainty amongst those data, we realized that we had to pare it down. So that's why I say that we ended up with more questions in our minds than when we started, because they essentially taught us what we don't know. So yeah, I could definitely see a continuance of this project or an extension to this project to get deeper into some of those life cycle choices. They suggest in there some future study, and then they also suggest some alternatives or trade-offs that, while a smoother road might cost a little bit more or maybe more energy intensive, everybody drives on it, and if the rolling resistance is less, that was just one of the trade-offs, that suddenly that could be a more efficient road, when you start to draw the box not just around the infrastructure but around the uses of it as well. So
Yeah, exactly. What are the trade-offs, right, that you want to do? So, well, no, thank you. It was very interesting. It's a great work.
yeah, thank you for inviting me to come share it. I appreciate the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Ross. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so should we move to the next item in the agenda, Liz? Okay.
So you can just move on to that next item. There's no action or motions that need to occur for that.
Okay. So the next item, it's the public hearing. So I don't know if this is the people that are connected, right, via the Zoom or?
There's no one else, no one has called in, and that actually is a typo. We don't have any public hearings for this
Okay.
meeting, so we can move on to the next item.
Okay. So the next one, the next item, which is a community comment, it has to do with the information you sent today regarding Plymouth water rebate program. Is that correct? The only thing that we have?
Yep, received one correspondence. I can pull it up here in case folks missed it in their email. This is from David Frankel, 4510 Lakeview Drive, and his comment. And I'll just read it for folks who may be listening. It says, why doesn't the city of Edina have a water efficiency rebate program like the city of Plymouth? And then he links to the water efficiency program, rebate programs website and the intro for that on the website.
So Jessica, here, do we need to answer him or what? This is my first time to do this part, so I will appreciate if, or Caroline, what will be the next step regarding these comments? Because I went through the program that he's proposing, and it's interesting, but I think it's not open anymore. I think that they closed it in 2019. So even though if we want to maybe evaluate something like that, where the money is coming from this program, it's no longer open for proposal. So I don't know what is that. What does the commission has to do on this comment?
So there is no expectation on commission correspondence. You do not have to have any discussion or take any action. If you decide that it's something you guys want to discuss, then you would need to ask for that to be on your next agenda, because we can't have a conversation on something that we didn't put out there in advance to let people know we were talking about. So
Okay.
typically the correspondence is not even included in the packet. It's something for you guys to take in, to digest, and then decide if it's something that you think you want to have a conversation about at a later date.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. So I guess we should just move to the next item in the agenda, right? Okay, thank you. So this has to do, is item number 8, which has to do with report and recommendations. So the first item, which is initiative 2, which is education event, has to do with Commissioner Lanza, who is leading this. So I don't know if Commissioner Lanza, would you like to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize for being late, but literally I was just coming from the farmers market where I was helping spread the word of organics recycling. And it's been 2 weeks by myself. the whole 4 hours of the fair, of the farmers market there. But it's been great. I've had a lot of positive response so far. Nobody's come over and been angry about it.
Okay.
And Carla has been great at helping me get not just information or but also in giving out handouts. People love handouts apparently. So
That's great.
but yeah, I think one of the easiest steps or ways that we can engage with the residents is through public events. And it seems like a lot of them are thinking about composting or getting behind the program, but don't really know how to do it properly, or are waiting for some type of communication from the city. I've been able to try my best as far as helping them come on board and making that easy for them. I had the little spinning wheel of fortune thing to help with the, is it recyclable? Is it compostable? Is it trash? And obviously the kids love it. And the kids tell the parents, "Hey, come on, I want to go spin it." And once they spin it, whether it's a T-shirt or like some compostable liners to put in their house to make it easy for them to compost, then it's making it a little more approachable and easy for them to get on board. But there's been a few residents that just no, don't want to do it. Not my problem. I do want to raise a couple of questions though, because there's over and over again, and I reached out to Twyla already, but I think there's something, I don't know if it's within her or is something, another step that the city and the council need to do, is like multi-unit buildings. They don't have currently compostable bins. And I'm not sure if it's a city thing or if it's a property manager or building owner issue. For them to have bins in their buildings, or if we need to help them out in that way. The other thing is that I've been handing out a lot of the rolls of compostable liners and a whole bunch of the little basket bins that you could have on your counter. Everybody's on board with that, but I want to know, because it's been a lot of people that asking for the bags coming in. So what is our budget, and if there's any possibility to extend the shopping little kind of grocery bags to the merchants at the at the farmers market, so they can start using them there and giving them to the residents shopping, versus having their little plain white plastic thank you bags. If we're trying to promote the use of recycling or organic recycling, then we should kind of get behind the merchants to hand out to the residents who are shopping, so they can use yet again at home, and then just dump that recycling, that compostable shopping bag in their bins.
That's a great idea.
Yardo, I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
If you give me, I can run to my car and I'll show you, because there's like the actual liners that they're just straight up liner that you basically put in your bin. Mm-hmm. There's also in the multiple boxes that Twyla gave me, there's also like compostable shopping bags. So how can we get those to the merchants?
Yes.
If there is a way, obviously, to kind of keep the cycle moving, and if they're getting it already from where you're buying your produce, you can just go ahead and use it yet again at home.
That sounds like a staff question, doesn't it? Something that Twyla and maybe I don't know how we communicate that. Is that something you do, Jessica or MJ?
Yep, I can reach out to Twyla. I can ask her about the beyond single family residential, what if there's a plan and strategy for those other buildings. I'll have to ask her to comment on that, and I can bring that back, or MJ can bring that back at the next meeting. And then the liners and the bags for merchants at the market, that's a really great idea. I can check in with Twyla and see what there is for budget or thoughts on that. So I can check in with Twyla on that. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a great idea. So you still have two more
weeks of farmers market, yeah.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to help out and come and sit with me, take a couple hours, I can do the other 2 hours.
I don't know. I'm sorry I can't, but yeah, maybe
it's all right.
It sounds like fun. I guess not today, because today was very cold, but yeah.
It was chilly. I wouldn't say cold. It was chilly, but it was like it was straight sunlight to where my my little tent was. So up until like the sun started to go down is when I actually put my hoodie on.
Okay. So it's like you're having fun. Thank you, Bayardo, doing that.
You're welcome.
Bayardo, hey, I wanted to just finish up on the bag thing. I think it's very confusing for the homeowner to understand what type of bags are to be used in the compost pickup every week. So if, the stores aren't, promoting the bags and launching this organic or food waste recycling program, we're not going to get above the 25% participation rate. So I'm happy to work with you and Jessica, anybody from staff there to help kind of, do some marketing here in the city with launching a food waste program. We really need to launch in conjunction the products and the behavior that's necessary. I mean, there's a nice little magnet that showed what was recyclable, but the bag thing was left out of the entire kind of promotion. So happy to work on that with anybody at the city in Bignardo.
Well, one of the things that I guess between the pamphlets that I have is actually a coupon for either Jerry's or Cubs, who actually are selling the compostable bags. So that's also one of the big things that I'm like kind of, hey, just so you know, you get them at Jerry's, you get them at Cubs, and here's a 25% coupon for getting your compostable bag, liners bags.
They should be out front and on a end cap or something so that, residents it's brand new to them.
Yeah.
So.
Has anybody talked to Jerry's Hardware? I know that's where we go to get the yard waste bags.
Yeah, no, Jerry has them. But yes, maybe as policy, maybe they should be like upfront, like people know that they have them, because I think only Jerry's. I didn't know Cops have them, but Jerry has them. The rest of the other ones they don't. So that could be very useful to have the other ones having some of those bags. So the liners.
So who would be the person to ask them to promote it?
So I guess the city has to do that. I don't know.
Or could we as volunteers do that?
I don't know. Should we?
Hey, Bayardo, I'll give you I'll shoot you an email and we'll see if we can't talk to them about doing a promotion with those coupons.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but for example, for the rest of is there a way that we can try to convince the other supermarkets in the city to start selling those liners, or shouldn't we?
I don't think anything stops someone from going to talk to them, just the time and energy.
Would it make sense to have Twyla reach out to each of the gift store buyers?
I don't know.
Yeah, who published the coupons? Were those from the city or were those from Jerry's?
No, I think they were when they sent the compostable kit. They had those quick coupons in there, so that's why I think they gave it to Bayardo.
Yeah, they're in the pamphlet.
Yeah,
might have to go out to my car, but yeah, there's a pamphlet from Hennepin County of what are the correct items to put into the bin. Within that, there's a magnet, and there's also a coupon that I was talking about.
Why don't we add that to the list of questions that Jeff has for Twyla to see who the
ask her
community
about that.
partners are?
And where that came from.
yeah. We should do that.
Yeah, you got to make it easy.
So you figure if Jerry's and Cub carries them, the only other grocery stores left in Edina are Whole Foods, which I'm pretty sure they carry, then Byerly and Loans. So I think we need to look into see if they carry them. But Target does carry them. I think a hefty brand. So I think there are those avenues out there. I think I haven't looked at Byerly ones, but that seems like it's the only one that we don't know. So I think they're widely available. And so maybe Twyla could talk to Byerly's and ones and just let them know, hey, we've got this program, and it would make sense because our residents are asking about where to get them.
You can ask her about the partnerships and access to those. Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jessica. So any comment on that initiative, or should we move on? Okay, so the next initiative is Initiative 5, which is Park Initiative Feedback, which is the document that Caroline sent us last meeting, and we gave some of input. So I don't know if we have any other comment on that.
Yeah, just briefly, I added the waste goals to the number 4, managing waste, as was suggested. So that's the change I made. I don't know if anybody else has any comments or if we're ready to send this on.
No, I think everybody sends. You also add the EV.
Oh
charging.
yeah, the EV stuff.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.
So I guess now we just need to send them. Is you're sending it, Jessica, to the park, or we are?
If you guys are ready as a group, send it on behalf of the commission, I think is how it's addressed. I can get that over to the liaison for the Park and Rec Commission.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, sure. Okay, so our next item will be the discussion of the 2021 work plan approval, which is based on the proposals we did last meeting. So do you think you can put the document you sent us, Jessica, please?
Yep, I will to reshare my screen here so that I can show you that. So this is formatted in our annual work plan proposal format. A couple things have changed since our last discussion. So the plastic bag ordinance and the to-go packaging items were initially a single item, and I've separated those. They have different pathways, and I think when you separate them, that gives council the option to do one or the other or both or neither. So it's just a little bit more flexible to have them separated. So that's the change from our last meeting that you see there. And then the Transportation Commission had an idea for a single hauler initiative that they put, they wanted to see if TEC wanted to be part of that. It doesn't seem like something that there's a lot of appetite for right now, but it's something that they wanted to see, get your feedback on.
So Jessica, can you talk a little bit more about that initiative that they're proposing? I think so it's really more clear what they want to do with that.
Yep, so they are interested in the idea of organized trash collection. So it would be like a single hauler, and then it would be a single day probably for different neighborhoods. So as opposed to the current way that it is that folks select a service provider of their choosing. So then there might be multiple in a neighborhood. I think they might all still be on organized days, but the idea is that there's fewer trash hauling vehicles when you have a single hauler versus one that people can choose on their own.
So I had a question about this. Commissioner Seeley, when you first started working on the commission, didn't you look at kind of the emissions from garbage trucks?
I would have to go back and look at, I don't know if it was necessarily looking from an admissions perspective. It was in light of the RFP for the contract, and that was part of, those were parts of the discussion. But, and this subject has been brought up many times over the years. Obviously it has its merits, but So yes, we've talked about it different times for different reasons. And I personally think it would be great to, especially to partner with the Transportation Commission, but I'm not sure how much appetite there is for that.
I think Melissa's right. The background on this is that it's been brought up and tried to be put on work plans, but council has not wanted any time spent on it. So it doesn't mean don't propose it or don't put it on your work plan. It's just that's the background. And they'll see it again and they'll have to decide if they think it's something that they want you guys to actually pursue and spend time on.
Yeah, I think this is something that definitely needs to come from council, not from commissions, because it's definitely dicey. I would love to see this happen, but it's a big thing, and I think if we're going to be tackling a climate action plan, I don't know. I think that's a lot. Like I think it's visionary and I love it, but I think it needs to come from council because they will be dealing with the fallout. It's so yeah, anyway.
I believe that's where we kind of parked it last time, is because we were still waiting to hear the fallout after St. Paul tried to establish it as a single hauler. And there was just lawsuits left and right because everyone wanted to keep Bobby and Joey and Susie service. And it just became really complicated. And I think that's where we left it last time.
I think your best bet if they're going to want you to do anything is maybe update the report to see who's done it and what, again, has been the outcomes of that, just to get a better sense of what other people's experience has. But it's probably not going to be to the length of making the recommendation to actually do it. They're probably going to need an update first before they would ever think about pursuing at the commission level or asking staff to implement or look into implementing something.
Yeah, and if there's something that we can do to kind of, like you said, to kind of start getting it up there, like you said, whether it's a report or something, I would love to do that because I think it is something that should happen. So if there's something that we can do, like I said, whether it's just study and report on it, I mean, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah, maybe that is what it is, Michelle. It's a study and report to update the past research you've done and then bring in transportation to focus on that, the transportation or the road infrastructure impacts, that type of thing.
Yeah. You know, I don't think we've done any, have we done any study or report on this issue? I don't think we have at all.
Yeah, that was sort of my question. If Melissa doesn't remember it, it would have been the one who did it. Because when I first was on the commission.
Yeah. No, again, it just was part of the conversation more around the RFP and things like that. No, not to my recollection. Was there an actual report or study report?
And that was Solveig really who drove the RFP on that, right?
Well, actually, that was Diane, really. That from a commission perspective, that was Diane.
I'd like to make a suggestion, maybe, bite this off in small pieces. Michelle, what if we kind of had a break off or a work group that tried to collect some data from the city? MJ and Jessica, I gotta believe, or maybe I don't, do we know the tonnage, for example, of the waste collected by all the vendors on a regular basis? Do we have that data? Do we have the curbside recycling weights and measurements, participation rates? And then I know we're collecting data on the food waste program. So if we started with a baseline and captured some data and then built off of that, right? And then we have at least a kind of a measuring stick to see what any kind of savings, both carbon emission wise and street damage wise and some of the other variables. But I think collecting data, if we have it, kind of put that together for the council to start.
So just so you guys know, so collecting the data obviously is a staff role. So if they're doing it, it's going to probably be on their work plan. And so it would be a matter of what is the commission going to do with that data to bring forward to council. So we don't want to put staff at a bunch or collecting a bunch of information that there may not be a final outcome for. So we really need to know exactly what does the commission want to do ultimately in the end.
So I looked at this fairly recently, actually, and the statute calls for the community, there's a statute drives how organized hauling works. And one of the things it says it calls for a community committee to put together the criteria by which the haulers will be measured. So I think, you know, what the statute envisions, it would be like a task force kind of thing instead of a commission role. And I don't know if like a working group with both us and ETC could serve that purpose to kind of get the community input, but that involves hearings and community input, and it's pretty staff intensive. But I think that that would be the step, would be to identify the criteria that the community would want for organized hauling. But I don't know if they have to decide to do the organized hauling first and then do that. But that's kind of a legal question, but it does involve a committee of citizens talking about what they want, the criteria.
Is that like from county statute or?
No, that's a state statute. I can send that to you, MJ.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Because we had something similar like this when it came to like police worn cameras as well.
Yeah, that was a League of Minnesota Cities had the policy, the model policy. This is actually the state statute lays it out. Right? Is that, am I remembering?
I think it was, well, yeah, I think on that one was also a state statute. They just, the League of Minnesota Cities, I think just kind of explained it exactly what they're asking. But anyway, similar type of thing. So we've done it.
Yeah, I'll send that to you tonight and then, so you'll have that. That helps.
But you're right. That could be a way for you guys to start the conversation to just say, we just want to go to this degree and find out where everyone's at on this. If we were to implement some type of programming around it. Because I think on this one, this is definitely not going to be a council's going to move on it unless they hear from the community. Because they're not going to want to hear from the community after they make a decision or you guys put a ton of work into it.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you that statute and we'll let the ETC drive this and we can maybe review and comment what they've done if we want to make that our kind of like we did with the parks and environmental impact.
And then does it make any sense just to dive into the like Bloomington and St. Paul and get any of their reporting or results or from their experiences, just to gather information from them versus us trying to recreate anything?
It's just if we want to go down the path of organized hauling, I mean, I think that's once we go down the path, then we would say what's out there, what are the options, what have other cities done, but without making that decision.
Yeah, and I think it's got to be driven by council.
Yeah.
So I guess that means that we're gonna let it stand by, or are we gonna put it in our work plan, or because if it's a council decision, I guess we just need to wait.
And we could put it in the parking lot or bike rack area to say that you are interested in it, but this might not be the year to do it.
Well, why don't I propose that we say review and comment on ETC's work on organized trash collection. How about that?
Is it actually on their work plan for next year? Or is
So
it
they're in the same process as us right now, where they're just brainstorming and trying to decide what it will be. So their last meeting, that came up, and they were curious if EC would be interested in being a part of it. So there was one person that brought it up. So it wasn't like their number one idea. So I think they aren't sure yet if it's for sure or not. I think it was an idea that they threw out there and wanted to see what EC thought about it.
So it will depend if they get it in their working plan, if we want to support them. It's more having it in their work plan and we supporting them, not having this in our work plan. Is it like that?
If you guys want a rule, you should leave it there. If for some reason it gets removed from ETC's work plan, automatically it will get removed from yours.
Well, so the question is, do we want to include it in our work plan? That would be, I guess, the first thing.
Mm-mm.
Because we have, this is this number 7, I guess, no? And we have 6.
Number 9.
9. So I guess based on what you are saying, that you have, that this has been in the agenda before, in the working plan or in the discussion, and it hasn't moved forward, I don't know if we do want to have it in our work plan. I'm just asking. So,
You know, another thought I just had here is, I mean, this could be a component of the climate action plan too, you know, I mean, depending on how anybody wants to go about it, but.
yeah, I agree with you. It could be a component. It could be on the waste and on the transportation, like.
Maybe it's a good idea to see.
Hi, team. This is Ukasha Dekane.
Hi, okay.
Oh, welcome, Akasha.
I was just going to say, maybe it's a good idea to maybe brush up on St. Paul and see not only their history, but their progress. And maybe there's some data and information that is publicly available that can shed some light on any kind of progress.
So, Paul, do you want to help us with that? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, it's an idea. I don't know if it's available or if it's even, if any data is available, how relevant it may be, if it's too early in the new program that they're really haven't seen any, you know, definable information. So, you know, again, it's tough because it's such a big ask, and it's been through the mill a number of times, and that's probably why, because it's such a big ask. But it just intuitively seems really inefficient to have 5 different trucks running up and down your street on Friday mornings. So, you know, I think that's what we all sense, that there's got to be a better way. It's just how do we work at it and try and figure it out. So I'm not sure where to start and whether we put it on our action plan or not.
Yeah, I mean, good. Like, as much as I feel like it has to be council driven. I would imagine if I was a council member, I would want to avoid this. And so, on one hand, I kind of want to keep it there so that it's, you know, we just can keep being a thorn. It just is a thorn in either our side or their side, that we just don't ignore this, because I think it is something that should be done. And I know it's something that I think nobody wants to deal with, but I feel like we do need to somehow keep it there. But it's a big deal. And I don't know, being 9 on our initiatives, that we could actually tackle it in the way we should, unless we break it down into small little parts that, like, again, are just like little thorns in all of our sides, that we just don't forget about it. And eventually it rises to the top when we're all ready then.
Yeah, I think it would just be, I think there's value in just sort of getting the feedback from council every year, or however often, to just see where they're at. You know, it was brought up even in the organics presentation to council, whenever that was, a year ago or something. So, you know, I think it is, I totally agree, Michelle, because again, without pressure from commissions or community members, council's not going to just take this up. So I do agree that there does need to be it just should be in some form or fashion discussed at some point.
Okay, so I guess then we think we can keep it. We still need to present this to the council, right? So they will see we're interested in moving this forward. So maybe they say, well, we're not interested in moving it right now, and maybe you have to take it out, but maybe we can have it and present it to the council if everybody agrees.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So should we discuss the rest of them, or because all of them, so should we discuss the rest? Okay, so the first one will be related to the climate action plan, which is what we have in the work plan of 2020, and we couldn't start, and we're now moving it to the next year to see if we can start doing something as soon as we have a sustainability coordinator. So
I have
yeah.
a couple questions on this. One is, I think we should say at least one commissioner should serve on the task force. I'm not sure we want to limit it to just one person.
I understand there was supposed to be two, right? In the task
It
force.
says, yeah, let's just say at least one, or do we want to say at least two? I don't know, but I think it would feel strange to just have one commissioner on there. And then the research tools and information for GHG emissions inventory and various established carbon neutrality in early Q1. That's kind of preliminary work before the task force starts.
Yeah,
right?
that was supposed to be another initiative. That's what we had it last time.
I do think it should be broken out.
Yes. Because that one we can do before even the climate action plan start.
Jessica, you should put a liaison note though that the intention is to do it before the climate action plan task force is assembled, so that there's an understanding for that.
Right, I can make all these a little bit more cleaned up after this conversation too.
Okay. So that means you're gonna break this in two initiatives?
Yeah, and so you'd want to highlight report on tools, blah, 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 also for that one. That's. Awesome. Thank you. So for sure, the research part won't require any staff budget.
Exactly, that one we can start doing before the climate action plan. So do you need to have leads for that participants? Should we tell you that now, Jessica, on that one?
If you say would be different, sure.
No, I think they will be probably the same. I don't know. I can work on that one, but maybe some of the new students want to participate in that one. I don't know, or some other commissioners. I can lead that one.
So Alexa, you talked about wanting to be involved, I think, in climate issues. This is kind of a cool thing. So we did a big report in 2019 on what climate action plan is, what other cities are doing, sort of laid the groundwork for a climate action plan this year, which we weren't able to do for many reasons. But what we talked about is doing some baseline research on how do we get an inventory of our actual greenhouse gas emissions as a fairly relatively small city, and doing some of these baseline things that then when the task force gets put together, they'll know, okay, we're going to do a climate action plan. Where are we? Where are we starting from? And so I wonder if is that something that you would be interested in?
Yes, I would actually be very interested in that, and I would like to get involved.
Perfect. So anybody else, any commissioners that wants to also work on that one?
I would like to work on that one too. I don't know if like we're doing the same people that were there already, but if not, I would like to work on that too.
Okay.
Just a reminder to Hilda and EEC that your students do not work against your committee's quorum. So students, you can basically volunteer for anything you can pick up on this work plan.
Okay, perfect. But does that mean that I need another commissioner to help in that one, or I can, no?
No, you can have as a minimum as one commissioner. You just at least need a regular voting commissioner and students, as many students as you want.
Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, so anybody has any comment on this? This will be then 2 initiatives, right? 1 and 2. No? Okay, so should we discuss initiative 2 regarding plastic bag ordinance? I understand you separate them because from the documents you sent, I think they are different approach for both of them. Is that correct, Jessica? That's why you separate them? Okay.
Yeah, they seem different enough, and then council can, if they don't like a portion of it, then they might still choose a different, then they can choose one or the other if they don't want to do both of them together.
So Michelle and Melissa, I know you were involved in these 2 research. Do you agree to have both of them like that? And do you agree the way they are phrased?
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, because it is, they are 2 different things. So yeah, no, that's fine to me that they're separated out like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, perfect.
Wait, can I just ask one more quick question here though? But what are we actually I always get confused about this. So are we proposing these ordinances, or are we just reporting on this concept?
Yeah, and MJ, you can help chime in on this one.
I think that these might actually be a study and report, because what they would have to do is take your information and then direct staff to go and develop ordinance changes and implement. You can suggest it. You can say, here's what our research shows and other cities do. Here's some suggestions. But then after that, they need to make a decision if they want city staff to act on it.
Okay. So we're not, well, and we can get into the details of it later, but so it's not like the final sentence on the report is, and therefore we recommend that the city adopt an ordinance to whatever.
No.
We're not doing.
No, it would be more of affirm, take the information, and decide if you're going to direct staff to move forward with this, which doesn't mean there's not a secondary role for the commission. It might be then the next year they direct staff, and your job now is to review and comment on that ordinance language.
Wait, but the document that was shared with us for like as part of that action, isn't that like a study and report, or is that like too old to use? Do we need like a new one, or what was that?
The one that we already did.
Yeah, because I was gonna say we've already done the reports on these, and actually Tara, like on the packaging to go, Tara had actually put together, like I wrote the report and then she put it together. So I feel like I think there wasn't there even a staff
comment
on that part. So I feel like there could be some looking through and updating since it is old, but I feel like the bulk of that report is already done. So where does that leave us then?
Do you don't think there's anything that needs to be updated, Michelle?
Actually, I do. Because I looked through it today a bit, and I think it could be updated, or just at least make sure that we have the latest information. So I suppose, yeah, it would be kind of updating the report then. So it wouldn't take as much time, probably.
Do you feel like your deliverable is actually to make a recommendation to council on ordinance language?
I think it would be really close.
Yeah.
I mean, especially because now we've got the city of Minneapolis, we've got even more. I mean, and maybe that's part of it, is then adding some some more information. Like I said, now we've got Minneapolis that has done some things. We've got more information through St. Louis Park and Minneapolis's packaging stuff. So I suppose it could be adding that information, but I feel like we've got we have a lot of that information already.
And we might be missing also too the program implementation of it. Like we obviously need a body or staff that's going to oversee some program like this, and who exactly is that going to be? So it might be also talking through how we could do this as a city.
Okay.
I think where you left the to-go packaging ordinance was, here's all the possible things you could do. Council, tell us which direction you would like to go. So you could do this next step, which says, of all these options, we think this one makes the most sense for this community, and here's why, and this is the one that we want you to go further on. Does that sound like something that, at least like a policy direction where the commission is kind of saying, this is our recommendation? You're not like writing an ordinance, but you're saying, of all the things that all these different communities have done, and you can update it for that, this one feels like the most appropriate for the city of Edina.
So then could we move this into more of a review and recommend?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at.
Yeah, both.
So, Michelle, when you guys gave them the options, did they not pick one?
With the plastic bag ordinance, it was pure review. There was no recommendation whatsoever, or pure report. So, and then the to-go packaging, actually, I'm not.
I know, I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, I can't, I read through it today, but I don't know if I think both of them were just reports, so it didn't give any recommendations.
We were working on ordinance language with Solvay.
Yeah, that's true.
What for the to-go packaging? Did you did the recommendations? Because I remember what I read is that it says that until the organic was on place, it couldn't like move forward, right? Was one of the
Maybe that was the roadblock.
Yeah.
Until we decided to hold off on it until we had the citywide program.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that will be more number 3, like review and recommend, because I saw that what you did, and it's great. Like you really had a lot of information. So yeah, maybe update them, but I guess it won't take like I think we can do more than just update it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we could put to report to recommend, I think that would be a great move.
Yeah, just to move it forward. I mean, this has been a lot of years kind of not doing anything with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will suggest number 3 for both of them.
But then are we just like recommending an action like Jessica said, or are we like actually recommending like language for it? Or like why couldn't we do language for the ordinance?
I don't know.
Part of this could be a draft, just ideas for what's going on ordinance, but the city attorney would want to draft the ordinance.
Okay.
Yeah, generally, ordinance language is written by city staff and the attorney. We have had commissions review it, but it's really written by staff. I do think, though, that you guys should put something on there about moving forward a recommendation from one of the options presented on the initial report, so that they know where you're grabbing your recommendations from and bringing it to them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It takes that initial report and takes it one step further, where you were saying, here's your entire suite of options. Now you're saying, all right, we're going to update it and then say, we think this one is the most appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. And I'm more than happy to then look at both of these and look at any updates from.
I can help you too.
Perfect.
Okay, I think I've got you guys on there.
Perfect.
So I haven't heard anything from Ukasha on this. His name is leading because he's alphabetically first. But Ukasha, what's your role in this?
I don't see you.
I believe he left already.
Yeah, I don't see him on the list.
And I don't think he's on the call anymore.
Oh, well, We want to, I mean, it looks like,
So Michelle, or the,
want to take him off there? Because I don't, it looks like it's kind of
Is-
just going back over what we did before.
so do
So
any of
not a lead, but he could, I mean, certainly welcome to be a part of it, but
I'll reach out to him.
okay.
okay. So should we move to the next initiative? Jessica, can you? So the next initiative is reviewing and deciding on commission members coordinating and tabling at city events to educate the community on organic, recycle, and sustainable living, which is a little bit what Bayardo is doing right now, right? With organics.
This is a continuing thing, whether it's with organic recycling, actual recycling, or any other, engagement of possible education towards the residents. It should be an ongoing item.
Hey, Bayardo, is there a way that maybe you can put kind of a number of a goal of events that you want to attend? I know that we've been trying to do that with other commissions.
Yeah, we had talked for this year's plan to do the Earth Day movie, but then everything got canceled because we now have COVID. So I'm trying to figure out what we want to plan next year. We just reassign all the possible events that we wanted to do and see what pans out, what is canceled, what is still viable, and what isn't. But we have that entire list from this year's plan.
Yeah, I guess if we are able to do, if any of those events are able to be done next year, maybe we can. We don't know. That will be the issue. So,
Would I be able to get in on helping with that? That sounds like something I would like to help with.
yeah, sure. Perfect.
I would also like to help with that. Maybe sit in with Bayardo on one of the times he goes to the farmer's market and spins the wheel with Edina folks.
That will be great.
Really fun.
You can do it the next 2 Thursday that are left, Alexandra, Alexa. So you now have volunteers, Bayardo, for this year. But you need to do it also next one.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Definitely. But yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But MJ, to get back to you, sorry about that. So obviously the farmers markets, open streets. What was the other one? 4th of July and all the public events that the city is at. We've already we had thought about attending them and representing. So if they're open for next year and available, we're definitely in.
Farmers markets too, Jeff.
What about Jerry's always lets people come in to table, whether it's like senior party, whatever. Would the city think of showing up at Jerry's, or is that like a endorsing one particular business? But they I know they're really open to letting people just table there.
I think they would let the city, but I think it would be you guys that would actually go out there. So, and the only reason I'm asking you to put a number to is because sometimes when staff and council are looking at how big your work plan is, I mean, if you say this, but this is like 20 events, then they're going to think about, well, how are you going to do 20 tabling events in addition to 8 other initiatives? So if you just say, up to 4 events a year is what we're going to table at, that would give them a better sense of how much time and resources you're going to put into that initiative, and also balance where they also want your attention to go as well.
We want to put farmers markets in there, Jessica, or do we want to say like MJ said up to 4?
I've got it listed on there under the deliverables, like city events.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Excellent.
So you could just list, 4th of July, open streets, and farmers markets. And then if you want to do additional things, if you feel like you have capacity, if everything else is going, those are like measurable things that you could say, yes, that's that's there, or if you want to just focus on local businesses. Or do we just say 8? That probably captures a lot of the farmers markets, right? Or do you want to just do every other? You guys got to decide.
Why don't you just leave it open like that, and like, because we don't know, like, maybe how many I don't know how many farmer markets were this year. So eventually, by just doing the farmer markets, there's going to be enough events. I don't know.
But I think MJ is asking that it really needs to be like a quantifiable amount of events. Even if you count farmers markets as one event, whether it's multiple times going to the farmer market, I think they want to have a quantifiable amount, like she was saying, so that we're not focusing too much here versus the rest of the work plan.
Right. Like, what if, I don't know, but what if organics is going great? And they're like, no, EC, organics is going good. Staff has got it. We want you guys to move your attention here. They probably want to know how much you guys are wanting to do this to base it off the rest of your work plan that you have.
I feel like up to 4 could be a good idea. Like if we are counting the farmers market as one event, because I feel like farmers market is really good for getting like information about organics out, but I don't know, like if we are gonna focus on other aspects of like sustainable living, I don't know if that's the best place to do it. Like maybe at some other event it would fit in better. So I feel like, yeah, the farmers market, we should definitely do that, but we should like also try to have like a couple of others like at other points in the year.
Well, you had that written, Jessica.
Yep, I could say.
Perfect. I think that
How much work was it, Leonardo, to do one farmer's market? 4 hours? It sounds like it's kind of a big.
well, it's not a lot of work. It's just because basically it's just kind of interacting and talking with the public. But since nobody has volunteered up to now, it's been me 4 hours each time.
That's a lot of time.
And if you could split it, in 2 hour shifts, even if 1 hour shifts, it's not a lot. But it's also a great way to reach out for initiatives 2 and 3 also, where it's like review and comment on the bags and also on the container ordinances. So.
Well, if we do need more help, I feel, and if we can do it, like I feel like we probably are allowed, but like this could be a great project to cooperate with Project Earth, because like this year, since it's like, well, our meetings are going to be on, and we don't really have a lot of like hands-on initiatives. So if we do need more volunteers, I'm sure that could be a project that Project Earth would be willing to participate in.
Okay,
that's good.
Want me to add Project Earth as this, or do you want to?
Should we add it, Anna?
I don't think that needs to be in the work plan. I just think Anna's a good ambassador for us to invite them.
Yeah, I guess Anna is saying it in talking about volunteers, right? That's right, Anna, or as a place. Yeah, she can have volunteers if there's like more than 4 events that she can try to have students from Project Earth.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
I think that reads proper, Jessica. Thank you.
Okay, so initiative number 5 is review and comment on green building policy, which this is one the one that you're leading, Caroline, which is, I think, is it a continuation of what we're doing right now, or this is a new one, right?
This is one that was on Tara's work plan for many years, and we'll see whether it gets put on our new liaison or our sustainability coordinator's work plan. I think it's a vital part of the climate action plan to talk about what the city's going to do for green buildings, and then it's a voluntary policy for other people. So I think this is just sort of monitoring what the sustainability coordinator is going to do. So if it doesn't get on that person's work plan, we won't have this. But if they do, we would just be monitoring their work and giving community input for him.
Okay, yeah, because it says here like it's a staff work plan, right? So it will depend on what this person decides to do in its work plan. So, so should we leave it and then see what happens?
Precisely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that would be as that staff person has drafts that they want to share and get comments from you, then they could bring it to the commission. And then when they have a near final version, they'd share that with the commission for comments.
So that should be pretty small time.
Okay, perfect. So initiative number 6 has to do with reviewing and comment on an enhanced 3 ordinance and strategy, which I think this one is new. And I think it has to do with what is happening with 3 around Edina. So from what I understand, this is it will be led by Paul.
Right.
So
this is another staff work plan item. So it would be as the staff gets a draft that they're ready to share and receive feedback on, then the commission would comment on it.
And that is not part of the sustainability coordinator, right? It will be parks or?
It's Luther.
Yeah, last I heard it was in the parks department.
Okay, so it's park. Okay.
I'm sorry, Jessica, say that again. So there is staff developing some plan on this now?
So the history is, in the past, a lot of commissions have had an interest in trees, and the council took that item off of all of the commission work plans and instead put it on the staff work plan in the parks department. They have had a very strange year, and so although that was on their work plan for this year, they haven't had a chance to make any progress on it. So it's going to be pushed to the next year. So this would be wait to receive a draft from staff, and staff would seek comments.
Is there a time frame?
I really don't know, and I can't speak for that. I think they're still kind of going month by month on what's going on. So
Sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Peter, you might want to put your name on that.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could help out with this.
I'll add you, and then I also had an email from Commissioner Manser, who had mentioned he wanted to be on there, and he didn't get onto the list in my draft, so make sure he gets on there. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Jessica. So initiative number 7 has to do with review and decide on the business recognition program outreach and application review by the end of Q1. Complete a program evaluation, which I think it's a continuation of what Commissioner Horan has been doing this year. So is that correct, Michelle?
Yeah. Going.
So why do the has target completion date? Will Jessica, or will be?
That one is kind of an ongoing rolling as people apply. So there is kind of this completion date for the program evaluation, but otherwise it'll just be ongoing, which I could probably indicate that here is just ongoing.
Okay.
I would also like to be a initiative. I'm very interested in helping businesses go green.
Fabulous. Awesome.
Okay.
Thank
Perfect.
you, Alexa.
Okay, and then I guess this one will be the last one. It's the review and comment on conservation and sustainability fund proposed capital improvement plan. With this one, Can you talk a little bit more about this, Jessica? I don't remember this one being discussed last time.
Yeah, and this one I added because it's part of the conservation and sustainability policy, which was that policy that established the sustainability coordinator position. It says in that policy that EEC would annually review the CIP. And I don't think you have in the past, but that's something that you ought to be doing. It's part of that policy. And the way it would work is staff would share the proposed CIP with you and seek your comments on it. I can double check on that. I think it's a spring draft annual CIP, so I can follow up on that target completion date, but it would be at a meeting that's on the agenda, and then that staff person would just receive your comments during the meeting.
Okay.
Is that kind of, didn't Chad touch on that just a little bit last month for us?
I believe he did a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't really formal, but he did talk about it.
Okay, so that will be just seeking our review and comments, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it doesn't needs to have a leader because we all can. You will, I guess, you will send it to us and we can comment, right? Like us. Okay.
Right. Should we put that under leads as an agenda item for EEC? Would that be appropriate to put that there?
Sure.
So remember that?
Does that look good?
Yeah, that looks great.
All right.
And I guess that's all the initiatives that we have in the working plan, right?
So
yep.
We don't have a water thing. Tell me again, we've talked about the water irrigation systems, and I think isn't that kind of what the communication that we got today was an incentive rather than a punishment for people who waste water with their irrigation system? Is it's kind of a carrot instead of a stick? Is that what he was talking about? Because I didn't look at the statute.
It's a rebate program that they give 75, I think, % of the cost, but it's not only for irrigation. It's for for more efficient drying machines and also for toilets. So if people do they change they only pay for, I think it's only 15% what they need to pay. So the rest is paid by the city with the money of the Metropolitan Council. So exactly, it's like making people have a more efficient use of water and less waste. It's, as I mentioned, it's not only focused on water irrigation, but I don't know, maybe we can try to do something about it. But the only thing is that this money from the Metropolitan Council is not longer available. I think they will open again an opening on 2022. So if we decide to do something, it has to come from the city. Like if cities wants to implement something and gives them an incentive to do the changes.
So would we want to add to that parking lot or a bike rack saying research enforcement of state law requiring water sensors for irrigation systems and other water saving tools?
Yeah.
And then we could look, including rebates, question mark. So now we know that's out there. If we have time, which it doesn't look like we will, but we could look at that.
Yeah, I think there's the water resources person. You have the benefit of having me on this to make some comments on this, and I don't know that that's the best. Going to be like the most impactful, but it's in the parking lot. We can talk about it at a future meeting. We can talk about water conservation and like cost benefit and that kind of stuff in the future. I don't think it needs to be part of the work plan conversation just because it's in the parking lot. So we can hang on to it there. Then if that's something that becomes more real in the future, we can talk more about like pros and cons and trade-offs and what might make the most sense for that.
So is this broad enough then, Jessica? If something comes up where you're feeling that you really want to do something on this and you want our help, we can wiggle our way from this statement?
Anything that's in the parking lot is not considered approved. So
Okay.
if for some reason you decide you want to push something up into your work plan, you would have to bring it back to council.
Okay.
The reason we put it there is because we don't want to lose it. We want to remember that it's of your interest. So that's one of the bigger reasons. And sometimes we'll push stuff down, but it doesn't automatically rise up if you just have the time.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
MJ, can you just talk about the size of this work plan compared to other commissions and your thoughts?
I think traditionally there's a few commissions that are definitely over ambitious, which isn't a bad thing. It's good. And I do think that there's a lot of good work in here that you guys can do. Plus, I see that you've already done a lot of pre-work on a few of these. We definitely always try to encourage commissions to do a few things well versus taking on more than they think that they can do. But you just have to decide and propose it. Hilda, you'll bring it to council and you'll give them your best presentation and why you guys think you guys can do this work, and they'll have to make some decisions from there. But you guys had a great liaison to help you through this work plan. So you definitely know exactly, like, when it comes to resources, funding, what you can and cannot do, you have it all there. So now it will kind of be up to them to kind of figure out what they want you guys to work on. And don't be surprised if things get pulled or if anything gets added to. They always have the ability to do that as well.
Thank you. But can I make a comment? Like, I do see a lot of items there, but for I think 3 of them or 4 are already in progress. So it could be a continuation. So I don't think that will. So that's one. Then the other one is the climate action plan, which until we don't have a sustainability coordinator, we're not able to do much. So that's another thing so I'm not worried. I don't think it's too much. I don't know what the other commissioners think, but I think we can manage to do the work that is here. But so I want to hear what you think, the rest of you, because I think we can do it, but it's my first time. I'm really new here, so I'd rather hear from you if you think there's too much work for us.
So 3 of the 8 are reviewing proposals by staff. So I don't see that as being more than 1 meeting. Basically we get a presentation, we answer questions, we review, and then we're done. Unless it's something that needs to be reworked and then we do it again. But so those aren't really big volunteer intensive. That's more just kind of reading and giving input. So really it's only 5 initiatives, because I think those 3, the CAS, the tree ordinance, and green building policy, we don't have a lot of control over drafting those and working on them, just reviewing them. So it's really 5 initiatives, we have 8, yeah, so 5 initiatives with 3 reviews.
So I don't know if the other commissioner has something to say, but I guess if they don't have anything to agree, then we can do it.
All right. Well, if this is the work plan, I'll give you an update too on just the process. So the chair and vice chair are going to present this proposed work plan to council at their October 6th city council work session meeting. All of the commissions, the chairs of commissions, will be there to present their work plans, and then hear what council has to say about those initiatives and get their reaction and hear the discussion. And then the city manager and staff are going to finalize the work plans based on that conversation, and then seek council approval in December. And then the commission can officially start implementing that 2021 work plan in January of 2021. So this item requires an action. So Chair Martinez, when you're ready, you can make a motion and ask for someone to take that motion and to second it, and then you can have more discussion. And I can put in these comments if they reflect the conversation in your opinion. So it would be to accept the work plan with the revisions as noted.
Can I just ask a really quick question? I have on my calendar a work session with council next week. That is not happening, right? I don't know where I got that date.
Yes, there is a work session next week. So that is to update on the 2020 work plan. So it's a progress report on the 2020 work plan. So each year, commission gets
that
a
is
check-in
happening.
date. That is happening. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. So it's just an update on the work plan, and then at this one meeting with all the commissions is when in October is the proposal for the next year.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Thanks for asking that clarifying question. I think it's still October 6th, or it might have been moved one day to the 7th. I think it's actually October 7th.
So next week, do we need to present to the council the advance of the 2020 work plan?
Yep. We'll show the progress. And I had shared in August that progress report. So I added just a note about the farmers markets, and then the memo that you guys are considering, that you guys reviewed tonight for the park. But otherwise it's unchanged from August. So it would just be a conversation about your 2020 work plan progress with the council during work session for 30 minutes is the time frame that's set aside.
So Jessica, could you, before that meeting, share with all of us the updated document so that we have that in our hands when we talk with them?
Sure, and it will be in the work session packet that gets published tomorrow. So that's where I would refer you to find that. So it'll look just like the August one that was part of the EEC packet with the addition of the note about farmers markets, and that you guys were going to take a look at the memo to send to Park tonight. But yeah, that'll be in the council work session packet published tomorrow, so you can access that work plan progress report there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. So then should we take a motion to move the 2021 working plan?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay, so can you do a roll calling?
Chair Martinez.
Hi.
Commissioner Jackson.
Hi.
Commissioner Haran. Commissioner Hushin.
Aye.
Commissioner Lanzis.
Aye.
Commissioner Seeley.
Aye.
Commissioner Dakani.
Aye. I was muted. Aye.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. So I guess we are now in, which is chair member comments, which is regarding business energy working group update and received minutes, which are you, who's mentioning this? Are you?
Commissioner Haran, do you have some updates?
No, not really. We're just continuing to figure out. Oh wait, I do have two of an update. I have our membership updates, right? I need to. I would like to add Tom Tessman to our working group, and I believe then Alexa, would you like to be an official member of our working group?
Yes, I will.
Okay, then I would like to whatever I have to say to add those two people.
We have to vote on that?
No, I don't. Do we have to vote on that, Jessica? No.
Let's see. I'm not sure. I'm checking with MJ, although I think she is offline now. We could always make that motion and do the voting, and if it doesn't make a difference, then it was for fun. I think it does require a motion because Tom Tessman is not a commissioner.
Okay, so then should we have a motion to move that item forward?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right.
Okay.
Chair Martinez.
Hi.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Hushin.
Aye.
Commissioner Lanzis.
Aye.
Commissioner Seeley.
Aye.
Commissioner Dakani. Commissioner Dakani, you're muted if you're responding.
He's not here.
I see you on the participant list. I'll give you one more shot here. Commissioner Dakani.
Yeah, I think he's there, but
okay.
Okay, so item number 10 has to do with staff comments. So I don't know, Jessica, if you want to tell us about the 3 items in that.
Yep, just very quick updates. Thank you for benchmarking. Out of the 140 buildings that are subject to the ordinance, 98 have submitted so far, so that's 70%. And our goal was 80%. So I think that's going very well. The buildings that have not yet submitted, there's 42 of them. They have until October 1st to come into compliance before some further action. I think they were issuing letters and giving some extensions just based on what some the current state of things, but I'm not sure what the next step is for compliance. But to be at 70% is pretty good. Our goal is 80%.
Jessica, how are we reaching out to the businesses, those 140 businesses?
I think so far it's been through direct mail.
Okay.
For organics, Twyla said that August pickup totals were 102 tons. So the quantity and the participation, she said, is still increasing. So she feels encouraged by that. Last meeting, there were a couple questions about how many or what percentage of people were already enrolled in organics recycling before the city started its program. And Twyla said there were about 1,000 households with weekly organic service. And right now we're seeing about 5,000 to 6,000 households put their carts out every week. And we're tracking every single cart that gets set out, regardless of how much is inside per day of the week, every week. And the drivers have clickers that they go around and track those. So she's very encouraged by the participation right now. And then another question, I think someone said, I believe we're at 25 to 35% right now. How does that compare to other communities? And Twyla said that's complicated to compare to other communities because our program is unique. We can't compare percentages to larger cities or cities with opt-in programs. That's hard to do. But she does plan to share some comparative data in the future. She wants to work with those other cities to figure out how to do kind of a apples to apples comparison because it might be a little tough to do. She said participation rate can be looked at a couple different ways. That 25 to 30% participation is of all 14,000 households. But if you look at, if you remove the 2,000 people or 2,000 households that declined to have a cart, and you're looking at just out of the 12,000 households that received a cart, the participation rate among that group is around 50%, which is pretty, she used the word phenomenal to describe that participation rate among those who accepted a cart. A goal of 30% is what Berkant and she had discussed for the first year. So she said for the remainder of the year, she's going to be targeting those homes that currently have a cart but are not using it. So that other 50% that's not participating yet. So she's feeling really encouraged so by the early metrics.
Wow, that's great. Yes.
And then
That's comment on how amazing that we had 5,000, 6,000 people trading in organic recycling. That makes me really happy.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments on organics?
Sorry, I'm just want to like she's still thinking on the way to attack the multi-unit buildings, right? They're still trying to figure that out.
I will have to just check in with her and see what the strategy is for that. I have no idea, and I don't want to speculate or describe her program. I really am not sure what the plan is or time frame on that, so I can follow up with her and get back to you on that.
Okay.
The city council actually asked about this or talked about this in their end of meeting comments about 4 meetings ago. So if Twyla could send just a quick communication to them about that, I think they'd be happy to know that it's going so well.
Definitely. And then the last thing I mentioned a little bit as we were talking about the liaison transition item, the sustainability coordinator position, there's been an offer made, I believe earlier this week. So we're just waiting to work out those details, and then we anticipate an early October start.
That's also great news.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. So I guess if anybody has any comment, I think we can adjourn the meeting. So do we need to put this also a motion? Yes, right?
So moved.
I saw that smile, Gerardo. You waiting?
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten since lunch.
Oh boy, I'll second so we can. Gerardo can eat.
Okay, so can roll call.
It sounds. So just for the record, there was a move by Commissioner Lanzis and a second by Jackson. I couldn't tell exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. All right, Chair Martinez.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jackson.
Aye.
Commissioner Haran.
Aye.
Commissioner Hushin.
Aye.
Commissioner Lanzis. Commissioner Seeley.
Aye.
Commissioner Dakani.
Aye.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and hope you have a great night. And so we'll see each other on next Tuesday, right?
Yep, next Tuesday.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.